Whoa, that's easy. Hey guys, got another ZVP for you today. This one is going to be kind of in response to something I get a lot on my channel and also on my stream, which is swarm hosts seem pretty good, but what do you do when they go air? So this one is going to give a pretty good example of what that plays out like. I've got a couple different ideas in mind for how to best handle air, and this is one of the ones I'm mulling over, and it played out pretty well, so figured it was good cast. I'm up against PandaStyle, blue Protoss in the lower left. Really good player. We hit quite a bit. He throws quite a few different things at me, but he definitely does like to make sure to incorporate air, which generally most successful Protoss right now in Heart of the Swarm do, at least in some capacity, so that's good. Other than that, it's going to be my pretty typical opening, and I'm really considering, actually I'm going to do it this game. Let me know if people don't like it, post it in the comments. If you don't mind it, go ahead and let me know. I'm going to speed through the first just little bit here. We're chatting, scouting hard counters oracles, because oracles are pretty good until you actually scout them. It's just the starting few minutes of ZVP, just have nothing going on, so let's go ahead and sneak past that. Okay, that's something at least. So we can at least analyze what I'm seeing. At this point I'm seeing a Nexus, what looks like a Nexus first. This actually is a really common expand now from Protoss. What we see is Gateway. That Nexus would be almost finished if this was Nexus first, so that's how we know it's not. But when you're Overlord scouting and you're not used to just checking the health bar, make sure you don't get these two confused, because you might read Nexus first, go ahead and take a quick third, and then this Zealot Stalker pressure that they send out will do a little damage. So just make sure you keep an eye on how much health that Nexus has when it's building, when your Overlord arrives. So what this actually is a little Zealot Stalker expand into a quick Mothership Core, typically. If I remember right, he actually delays it just a little bit, but more often than not, they're going to start chrono boosting out a Mothership Core right away, although it really depends on what they scout as well. So yeah, it's a pretty good build, just because that Mothership Core Zealot Stalker can really apply some good pressure, especially against like a 15 pool double expand. Then they're able to really push that third a bit and get something done. But in this case, with where I'm 11 overpull, staying on 2 base for a bit, it's not really going to achieve too terribly much. And it's just one of the many reasons why I really like that over the double expand. So let's take a look at where we're at on economy. I'm just starting to pull ahead, which is pretty normal for this build. Right around 5 minutes is when that's going to start kicking in. Just go for a quick 60 drones as soon as possible. He's already checking the third. This isn't uncommon. They'll just blindly check it without a probe scout. Saves them the loss of another probe. The good players definitely will do that, which Panda definitely is. We actually played another one later where he beat me. I was thinking about casting it, but it was another game where I forgot my Locust life, my Locust timed life, and really it's kind of like apples to oranges comparing that with Swarm host when you actually get it. So I figured I wouldn't cast it. I did lose the game, and it was pretty transparent why, because none of my Locusts actually arrived in time to do any damage. So, but he and I were, I'd say I win maybe 60 to 65%, which is about on par with what I win in ZVP. I think I'm 68 or 69 right now % on ZVP, so he does pretty well. So for PandaStyle, we've got still just 2 gas here. My Overlord doesn't see it. Actually, it does just catch a glimpse of it here for a bit, and then my Zerglings catch the rest. Now what this is right here is a little bit of a run-by, because I notice he's pulling across the map, so I go ahead and see if I can snipe a couple probes here. The sentry was up to shut that down a bit, but the other nice thing is that then pulls back his Mothership Core, but he's already got a Stalker hanging out just waiting to deny anyways, so it's not really going to be benefiting either of us too much, but at least I got to trade away those Zerglings for a probe. I'm always happy to do that at this stage of the game. At this point I'm dropping a Spore and a couple Spines, just because lately the metagame has been so heavy off of the expand he used, this Mothership Core expand, to apply like a 4 to 6 gate pressure. And if you don't have at least 1 or 2 Spines, it might just shut you down before you even get your layer tech going. So I'm trying to get more and more in the habit of just going ahead and accepting that I may lose a couple of drones to Spines and be safe. So He's asking if there was a little lag. I think that stopped for him because he definitely had solid micro moving out later into the game. We've got double Stargate from a Protoss player here. I don't yet see it. I'm waiting for that layer to finish. It has finished, and the first thing I do when that layer finishes is get my Overseer in there. Notice the Overseer gets in at 8 minutes 30 seconds, so that gives me a chance to muster any kind of last minute defense, because if he's going like a 6 gate or something to that effect, he's going to be arriving right at about 8 minute 45, 9 minutes. So it's just enough time for me to scramble out some spines to buy time for my Hydras to spawn. In this case, I get in there, I see double Stargate. So we notice on the production tab, Hydra speed and 10 Hydras. If I hadn't seen double Stargate, then I would have been going for Swarm Host. Notice I also canceled my Infestation Pit and immediately dropped 2 Evo Chambers. The reason for that is because in the short term, that Infestation Pit's not going to really pay for itself at all. It's actually going to be an idle, just an idle structure for quite a while. So my logic, and I don't know if this is really good logic or not, but my logic is I'd rather have that drone mining and have the resources back to put into upgrades and more Hydras when I'm not going to be making a Swarm Host for probably the next 3 to 4 minutes of gameplay. I'm not sure, since the Infestation Pit's so expensive, if that's a worthwhile choice, but who knows? I'll have to keep trying. So I go ahead and clear out this third, take a really late third. That's what I like. 10 minutes, pretty comfortable for me. Economy-wise, where are we at? We're right on par with where we should be. Now, I did make a couple extra spines, and a couple extra spores, because initially I was preparing for like a 6-gate or some 4-gate pressure, and then I had to move into double Stargate defense. So I did lose a lot of drones to that, but I'll get that recovered here once I start saturating my third, so that's not an issue. Keep in mind, since we're eventually planning on moving into Swarm Hosts, all we need is to match their economy. The resource efficiency of our army will do the rest. This one was unfortunate. I was a little slow on responding with those queens, and had they been up there in time, then I would have gotten a transfuse. This guy, he just got to 50 when he got picked up, so that's really sad. Now, where are my Hydras? Well, they're actually across the map. I saw him kill off that Overlord. I was expecting a quick third from Panda, so I went ahead and moved across to deny. A little bit of a blind play there. Instead, I'm going to have to go ahead and scoot over an Overlord, get that denial going again. Now, I'm researching drops, and this is exactly what I feel is exactly the right move from here when you see double Stargate, because they want to go to 3 base and they want to go carriers. In a perfect world, that's where they would be at. Maybe some Oracles, some Void Rays, and some carriers. And if they can get that mixed with just a few High Templar, they've got that currently, I would call it unbeatable composition. I mean, I've seen Idra, I've seen Cats, I've seen TLO just throw Remax after Remax at that composition. All sorts of different units, and it's just not something we can break right now. Well, rather than complain like I used to, I'm just going to try and find ways of breaking them before they can get there. So in this case, I see double Stargate. So what we need to do is find a way of shutting down what will eventually be 3-base economy, and put them in a position where they can't afford to make carriers. Because if there's one thing carriers do not defend well against, it's drops. They're very slow, and they need critical mass to be able to hold up to Hydras. You got 1 or 2 carriers down here, 3 or 4 carriers up here. They're going to lose to your push up top, and they're going to lose their 2 carriers down here to your drops, rather than holding everything. So just being annoying here, trying to block this third as long as possible. I've also got a Zergling, making sure he's not taking his pocket third. At this point, I'm still very cautious about the droning. I would love to be able to just dump all these minerals into drones, but with where he hasn't taken a third yet, it's really tough for me to feel comfortable committing to that. So I try to just eke out a very slight economic advantage, get that pressure going. At this point, I'm feeling pretty confident he's got to be expanding by this point, and sure enough, he is. Just because you can't open double Stargate and not take a third. There's really no viable builds right now. You know, they could go like Charge Lot, Void Ray, and cross their fingers, but that's obviously just not really going to be the greatest choice. I get spotted by the probe. That's unfortunate, but just like a Terran player, once they spot that, you've got no choice. You're going to have to just go ahead and move on and hope they didn't see it. I could have dropped and killed the probe, but really I would rather go ahead and at least split him up. Even if he did see it, even if he is prepared, I'd rather get his army split up for my push. So getting a little bit of kiting here. He already has charge, so that means this isn't going to be quite as cost efficient as I would like it to be. But I do have 1-1 to his 101, so at least I can trade pretty well. Drops coming down, he pulls out right away because he already knew it was coming. So that's good. Actually, now that I think about it, he might not have. He might have just had really quick reaction time. I'm curious now. No, he didn't notice it. Otherwise, he would have already had some Phoenix. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, he did have the Phoenix coming down to deal with it. But then he noticed my push up top, and he went ahead and decided to keep the third alive rather than defending. So I'm pretty happy with that result. That's good. And that's really the nice thing about this multi-pronged drop play with a push at their third is, you know, they're going to have to lose something. So we're checking out down here. Let's see what we got here in terms of kills. Got 10 workers out of the deal. Pretty good. At this point, see that Fleet Beacon? Absolutely a good one to focus down. Fleet Beacon or Templar Archives. Also would love to get this Robotics Bay, but I'd rather him making Colossus than Carriers, that is for sure. I even get the Overlords out. I'm really happy about that. I'm trying to think more and more like a Terran here. You know, do some damage and then get out with your units. A lot of Zerg players, when they drop, they use them as kind of just a drop and a move kind of unit. But I'm able to do a lot more damage here by going ahead and picking right back up the moment I feel his army's probably left. I'm dropping again. Now he's got that, oh, I can't remember what it's called, something or other beam on his Nexus, so that's good for him. Otherwise, I would have been able to clean up the Zealots pretty easily while they were warping in. Now, at this point, I'm just trying to pull him out of position a little bit. Back at home, I should be having my Swarm Host transition. There it is. Yeah, I'm getting that Locust lifetime. I'm also getting, if I remember right, oh yeah, the Overlords pull back here. Eventually, I'll come back and be annoying with them some more. Pretty good defense so far from Panda. He's getting his third up real late, but given that he opened up double Stargate and wasn't able to do too terribly much damage, you know, that's kind of the position this drop play puts him in, is he has to be real passive with it. And he actually plays out this game really well, considering that he's behind on economy at this stage of the game. So got the drop coming back in here, being pesky. Just lost 2 Hydras so far, so that puts me in a pretty comfortable place. He's quick on the draw with that, whatever it's called. I gotta find... Where is that? Where is that? It is called Photon Overcharge. Okay, now I know what to call it when I'm casting. The whatever beam isn't working for me. So at the same time, while this drop is moving over to his natural, because he already used his whatever beam on his main, I'm going to go ahead and start pressuring that third again with the Swarm Host this time, while also setting up yet another drop to come over and support this. There's some cute micro here. I won't go back and show it, but there was a little bit of juggling there on the Overlord, trying to get better with that kind of thing. Now he goes ahead and heads off these Overlords. Really great play on his part. That one Void Ray, when it overcharges, is all it really takes to go ahead and knock out some Overlords, since they are armored. But now with these Locust spawns, I'm able to get a nice position for my Roaches and Hydras on the corner of his composition. Notice all the Colossus fire is hitting my expendable Locust, while my Roach Hydra are able to trade with his Stalkers cost effectively. Do a little drops here to try and save a few Swarm Hosts while they're waiting for their next spawn. And then after that, we've got some Locust spawns to deal with everything but that Void Ray. And one Void Ray won't kill too many. Also, I got a snipe on his Observer, so all is well. So at this point, let's check what we've got in our unit count. Got 20 Swarm Hosts right now. That's excellent. Believe it or not, even though I saw double Stargate, especially since he was forced to transition out by the drop play, I'm really comfortable with this Swarm Host count. But even if he was heavy on air, I would still like to be at least 16 Swarm Hosts. Just because air do not kill Locusts quickly enough to save the Nexus. So if they're heavy on air, they're going to go ahead and just hang tight back here. They're going to try their best to keep the Nexus alive, but they're either going to have to keep trading away ground units to the point that they don't have enough buffer, and you can move in with your Hydras and clean up, or they're going to go ahead and start losing that Nexus. So it puts them in a really tricky spot. If I remember right, this was an accidental pickup. Later on, I decided I'll go ahead and do something with it, see what it's like to drop a Swarm Host, because I have never actually dropped a Swarm Host. I don't know if I like the idea. I don't feel like that's really where the unit's strength lies, but you know, if I had 2 more Overlords here, packed with Hydras and maybe a Queen, and 1 more Swarm Host in this Overlord, that's a lot of damage. You know, 2 Swarm Hosts, 7 Hydras, and a Queen, that could really ruin someone's day. Especially because they're going to need an Observer to shut down the Swarm Host, but the Hydras will shut down the Observer. So he gets a little warp in here. Actually, this is pretty cute. I didn't get a chance to watch this. So yeah, 2 swarm hosts would definitely be necessary here. 1 swarm host almost killed that zealot, so imagine if there was 4 locusts rather than just 2. And this is cool, actually. I wasn't watching this. I was busy up top watching the push, but that actually tied up a lot of his army. And since he needs his observer up near my main pack of swarm hosts, that's not a bad deal. Now my locust is still doing some work over here. I would have liked to have gotten this nexus already. In a perfect world, back when his army pulled out, I would have had my roaches and hydras in a forward position to go ahead and do some damage on that nexus. But instead, he does get out with it. And he's back now to his third. And I also probably should be getting some more drops going. Really, it's something that should be kept pretty consistent. Once you've got your swarm hosts in a position that you're going to be able to pin down their third. Bad locust spawn here. That could have killed the nexus. If I would have just right-clicked those on the nexus, that would be dead right now. Still having those miss micros once in a while. I don't know if I want to call it micro with a swarm host. It's more like really in-depth multitasking. Think of it like your larva injections and the multitasking that already taxes us with. Plus, I mean, I would say it's twice as taxing to keep your swarm hosts active. And then still keep your larva injections going as well. So at this point, this is another one of those cases where I read where he's at. Notice he's not back at his nexus. He's not waiting for the locust to get to him so that they die off from timed life. He's pushing into the locust. So immediately I retreat my swarm hosts. And that's something you've got to get comfortable with reading, because right now, if I hadn't retreated those swarm hosts, I would have just lost easily half of them, if not more. So you really got to get comfortable reading your opponent's intentions, recognizing, okay, right now he's going face first into locust, trading all the zealots he's got to try and push through this. And that's when you get a really good trade, because he's expecting there to be a payout at the end of that. And if your locusts are no longer there, or your swarm hosts are no longer there, then you just got a really cost-effective trade. Now, I'm not doing as well on the resources lost as I would like to be. That's actually not great. That's because of some pretty bad exchanges in the drops. Now, I did deny a lot of mining, but especially with this exchange down here, I lost all those hydras basically for free. This move up here, that was just bad on me. I should have had an overseer with them pushing out changelings before I moved to anything I didn't have vision on. So that was a case where he just had the vision on the Xel'Naga and some good intuition there. Alright, he's moving into High Templar. That's the point that I would like to already have Vipers out, and here they are. You want to try and have Vipers out actually before the High Templar, but oftentimes if you're going with a really high swarm host count, that's not going to be possible. Eventually you may want to move into Baneling drops or Ultralisks. Both of those shut down High Templar really well. But in this case, we'll see what happens. He's mixing in some DTs too. Really good, really good play, because they clean up locusts real quickly. And at this point, now that he's got those High Templar out, he can always feed back my my overseers if need be. So getting out just in the nick of time here. A little slower than I would have on the response than I would have liked to have been, but didn't cost me too much. Just had to buy a little time with my queens and roaches. And now we're going to get another good trade, because the locusts have spawned. He's playing right into it. I'm getting some grabs on the Vipers. I do eat a little more of that storm than I would like to, but not too bad of a deal. Void Ray's so good, even versus Hydras. But at this point, he's got no buffer left. Once these swarm hosts get down, he's going to have to go ahead and pull back. And now I get to play with the Vipers a little bit, get a few more free Colossi. He's down to 1 Colossus and 3 Void Rays in his retreat. So that actually was not the best trade in terms of resources, but because I had bought enough time to get so much economy going on an actually very low economy playstyle, so, you know, comparatively, I'd actually rather be at maybe 55 drones right now, believe it or not. Super low drones, but it means a lot stronger army. But, nevertheless, I'm able to go ahead and max out a lot quicker, so at this point now, momentum's more and more shifting in my favor. Because he's got Colossus, High Templar, Void Ray. He's got this really high potency army, where he's just got these extremely high tech, extremely high efficiency units. But the Locust to a degree, still shut that efficiency down, because he's still having to trade away all the buffer that makes those units so good. The Colossi, if they don't have charge lots in front of them, they're sitting ducks for the Vipers. Because you're going to be able to push the Roach Hydra that much further up. Sorry, I'm trying to drink coffee at the same time as casting, and it doesn't work. So I'll just have to put the coffee down for the rest of this. Alright, so at this point I maybe wasted half a locust spawn there, trying to get the Vipers taken care of, get them refilled. Also need to get a transfuse on these, but I lost a lot of my queens in that trade previously. Here's another bad rally there. I would have had a little more timed life on them had I had them moving directly across. I think 2 zealots there. I could have gotten a lot more. I see this overseer down here. I come down to pick this up. Fortunately, he's got a small enough unit count and little enough energy on those High Templar that he's not really going to be able to challenge my Swarm host for a bit. Our Protoss player's getting ready to take his 5th now. He's mined out at main, mostly mined out at natural. How am I doing? Mined out at main and natural. My natural has been eaten alive by Vipers. That's just fine. It's just about done on gas anyways. And I won't even need it. Getting a good push here. At this point I read that I'm a lot higher on my army count, and so I'm going to need to go ahead and break his unit count so that he doesn't get any kind of critical mass going on those Colossi. Otherwise he gets back in this game. And really at this point, this is when I start to feel really confident in the game there. Good grab on the Colossi. On the Colossus. It only doesn't really take that many locusts. I even had a miss rally here. 6 locusts were missing in that, but thanks, Duke of Dangle. Okay, I'll never put the coffee down. But it doesn't take that many locusts if you get a good grab. So there's another one. Gonna get another Colossus there and a Void Ray. And it may not seem like it, because we're used to undervaluing Void Rays from previously, but now a Void Ray is almost as valuable as a Colossus. Not in terms of army value, but in terms of what it can do to your army if it's built up enough. You're going to be in trouble if you don't go ahead and clean up those Void Rays in a reasonable fashion. Especially keep in mind your Vipers, they're armored. So in a perfect world you wouldn't have your Vipers ever in attack range of the Void Rays, but we're not perfect. And when those Void Rays go ahead and get that, what is it called, prismatic alignment going, they will clean up all your Vipers in a matter of seconds. And they do once in a while still have to get close enough, so it's a tricky thing. But at this point I've got nearly double his supply count. This is me being a little too passive. He is pulling me back a little bit, but I really didn't even need to pull my army here. This is a point where I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around when it's best to go ahead and just keep letting the Swarm host push your advantage, and when it's best to go ahead and just end the game. But one mistake I always made in Wings of Liberty that I'm trying to just really push myself out of is losing patience, saying, oh, I'm ahead, let's just win. And anyone who watched me back in the day knows that that was how I lost a good share of my high-level games. I'd be playing against a pro or decent Grandmaster player. I'd say, oh my god, I'm winning, let's just go ahead and finish this. And then I would throw the game away. And the more I can develop that patience, the better my Swarm host play is going to be, especially because this unit is all about patience. You got to always be willing to go ahead and let 1 or 2 locust spawns expire rather than pushing too close and losing your Swarm host for free. So at this point I'm able to go ahead and tax him a little bit more, because he's got to stay down and guard his production at his natural and main. But that also means my Swarm hosts are going to get some free spawns on his what's now his 4th. So that's great for me. That's going to force him to trade away cannons and zealots, keep that supply low, keep that mineral count low. Immediately I'm able to then go ahead and hit another spawn of locusts to push him back again. Now, the one thing that keeps me scared here is these High Templar. And that's the thing, is, even though his supply is super low, all he's got to do is hit some good feedbacks on my Vipers and hit some good storms on my Hydras to turn this all around. Void Ray Colossus will clean everything up if he hits good storms and gets my Vipers out of the way. So I really need to make sure I hit a clean engagement with these. Now this is a great push on his part, because he's in a really tough spot army-wise, but if he can get out of here in time with this recall, he'll clean up my economy a bit and go ahead and get this taken care of. Yeah, sure. So I want to go back here for a second. Unit tab, there you go. Now, check this out. This is a little trick. Okay, so what that was is the moment he hit the hatchery, he had killed it. I knew where he was going with it. The mass recall was coming next. So at that exact moment, I know that I can go ahead and engage right in without losing anything because he's about to leave with everything I didn't grab with my Vipers. So what do I end up getting out of it? I get two Void Rays. Let's see, 2 Void Rays. I think 2 Colossi. I mean, completely for free because his own mass recall worked against him. Let's see here. Oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Okay, so I got 3 Void Rays, a Colossus, and an Ultralisk. Sure thing, Hole. I didn't know you could grab your own units, but I actually pulled my Ultralisk out, and that, I guess now that I think about it, it was a good play. It was just an accident. That Ultralisk would have died had I not pulled it out of the Colossus fire. But, yeah, I did not know you could grab your own units. Wow. I've just never had a reason to because I'm always combining ranged with Vipers, never melee. So yeah, that's a cool trick. If you ever see them going for a mass recall, that's the time to go ahead and dump all your Viper energy and pull whatever you can out of the recall radius. Alright, so at this point it's starting to wind down. Really starting to feel like with 8,300 minerals and 4,600 gas, I probably can go ahead and take the game. This is just, again, an example of just how efficient you can be with this. Because, I mean, this isn't nearly as one-sided as some of the other ZVPs I've had where my Swarm Host just dominated the entire time. But again, Panda's a really strong player, has really good micro, hit some good storms in some of the engagements that really cleaned up a good chunk of my Hydras. At this point, he's moving down to try and deny that 4th again, but he really just doesn't have the army value anymore. I don't hit my grabs with the Vipers, but he's busy hitting feedbacks rather than storms, and so I'm able to go ahead and clean up here. Meanwhile, my Swarm Hosts up at the top are taking out his 4th, so while I'm going to be remaxing, I'll have enough resources to even remax twice if necessary. He's not going to have any economy left, so at this point I could lose my entire army, and I don't really see this one working out for him, just because he's now mining out even at his 3rd, so when that 4th goes down, he's out of luck. And PandaStyle wondering how toss counter Swarm Host. I gotta agree. I really feel like this matchup, Swarm Hosts are a bit overpowered. And there's a lot of people who disagree with me, but I'm hoping more and more I can prove that. Now, I don't necessarily think Swarm Hosts need a nerf. I think actually Protoss needs a better response. I'm not sure what that is, but I would say Swarm Hosts feel a little bit too weak versus Terran, a little too strong versus Protoss. And obviously ZVZ, I'm not too worried about balance. So yeah, I'm going to be casting a lot more ZVP because it seems like that's what people really want to see right now. And I do think that's by far the most viable place for Swarm Host right now. They are good ZVT, but it's hit or miss, I've found. And the management is something I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I don't necessarily want to cast ZVT Swarm Host games until I feel like I'm confident that I'm showing you guys you know, somewhat best practices in that regard. I don't want to show bad play where I just got lucky, you know. So it'll be mostly ZVP when I cast Swarm Host games. If you guys want me to cast other matchups, let me know, but this is by far what I got the most requests for. Everyone wanted to see Swarm Hosts. So there you have it. That's one where my opponent went double Stargate. I forced him out of the Stargate tech and into Colossus tech via drop play, and then transitioned into the Swarm Host like I would have preferred to initially. Definitely room for improvement. I should have kept the drop play going. I should have also macroed more aggressively behind that drop play, and other than that, I think I should have also had Vipers out quite a bit sooner than I did, because those are really the point that I started to shut down any kind of push he had available. Alright, so that's everything there is for this one. Let me know what else you guys want to see. I'll try and keep them coming. Have a good night, guys. Bye.